There is one vocal trait in men that catches attention instantly, often before any words are fully understood. It is subtle, yet powerful, shaping first impressions and stirring subconscious reactions. Women notice it because it signals for more than personality. It communicates confidence, dominance, and emotional stability at a level below conscious awareness. The way a man speaks can trigger deep psychological patterns in listeners, activating attraction, respect, or even fear. Some scientists call this vocal resonance a form of auditory charisma, linking tone, pitch, and rhythm to evolutionary signaling. In social and romantic contexts, this trait becomes a silent yet powerful tool. A low, steady, controlled voice signals strength and reliability, while a high, inconsistent, or strained tone may create doubt or unease. Studies show that women are hardwired to perceive tonal cues as indicators of health, confidence, and status. This is not manipulation, it is biology and psychology intertwining. Understanding this vocal influence can transform how men are perceived, how women react, and how subtle communication shapes attraction. By the end of this video, you will understand the science, psychology, and subtle strategies behind this phenomenon. You will see why a single vocal trait carries more weight than words, appearance, or gestures combined. The human voice carries for more than words, it conveys signals that bypass conscious thought. When a man speaks, subtle variations in pitch, resonance, and rhythm communicate confidence, strength, and emotional stability. Women notice these cues instantly because the brain interprets them as indicators of reliability and dominance. A deep, steady voice triggers areas of the brain associated with safety and attraction, even before a single word is processed. This is not about manipulation, it is biology responding to patterns that have guided human social interactions for thousands of years. Low vocal pitch has been consistently linked to perceptions of strength and competence. Research in evolutionary psychology suggests that men with deeper voices are subconsciously viewed as healthier and more capable. Women, even without thinking, detect these signals and register them as attractive. This is part of an innate system of social evaluation, where sound acts as a form of communication that precedes words, gestures, or appearance. The voice becomes a silent messenger, delivering cues that influence judgment, emotional response, and even desire. Resonance also plays a crucial role. A resonant voice creates vibrations that feel physically and psychologically compelling. It signals energy, physical presence, and emotional steadiness. Conversely, a high-pitched, shaky, or monotone voice can create tension, signaling insecurity, stress, or lack of control. This explains why two men may deliver the same words, but one is perceived as confident while the other seems weak or uninteresting. The difference lies not in language but in the acoustic qualities that speak directly to the subconscious. Rhythm, pacing, and articulation further influence perception. A controlled pace signals thoughtfulness and patience, while erratic timing communicates anxiety or overexcitement. Clear articulation demonstrates intelligence and composure. Women respond not just to what is said, but how it is delivered. These vocal patterns interact with evolutionary instincts and learned social cues to create an immediate impression that often feels instinctual rather than calculated. Real-life examples confirm this effect. Consider a professional or social setting where a man introduces himself. Two men may provide identical information about their work or interests, but the one with a low, steady, and resonant voice is often remembered, respected, and even subtly admired. Women report feeling more comfortable, engaged, and intrigued by such men, even if they cannot articulate exactly why. Their voice operates below conscious awareness, shaping attraction and attention in ways that words alone cannot. Understanding these mechanisms is the first step toward leveraging the power of vocal communication. By recognizing how pitch, resonance, and rhythm influence perception, men can develop self-awareness and control over their vocal presence. Attraction is not merely about looks or confidence, it is about how biological and psychological systems respond to subtle signals that convey strength, composure, and stability. The attraction women feel toward certain vocal traits is not arbitrary, it is rooted in evolution. For thousands of years, humans have relied on subtle cues to evaluate potential partners. A man's voice conveys information about his physical health, hormonal balance, and emotional stability. Deep, resonant tones often indicate higher testosterone levels, which historically signaled strength and the ability to protect or provide. Women's brains evolved to detect these cues instinctively, forming preferences that increased chances of survival and reproductive success. Even today, these ancient instincts remain active. When a woman hears a deep, controlled voice, her subconscious associates it with reliability and competence. This is not merely about dominance or intimidation, it is a combination of perceived capability and emotional stability. Women have learned, over millennia, that these signals correlate with men who are able to endure challenges, maintain resources, and navigate social hierarchies effectively. Their voice becomes a form of evolutionary shorthand, compressing complex traits into sound patterns that the brain can interpret immediately. Vocal pitch conveys information about size and physicality. Lower tones suggest larger body mass and strength, while higher-pitched voices may signal smaller stature or less physical dominance. In a prehistoric context, these auditory signals could determine safety and partnership choices. A deep voice indicated a protector, someone capable of defending family and resources, while a weaker voice might trigger caution or skepticism. Even in modern social environments, these primal associations persist, influencing attraction without conscious reasoning. Emotional stability is also encoded in tone. A steady, measured voice demonstrates control over internal states, suggesting resilience under stress. This trait is valuable evolutionarily because it implies reliability in uncertain or dangerous situations. Women are drawn to men who appear emotionally grounded, even subtly, because this suggests a partner who can navigate life's challenges without collapse or panic. The subconscious registers these patterns, often before conscious judgment occurs. Case studies in contemporary settings illustrate this clearly. Men with lower-pitched, resonant voices are more likely to be perceived as leaders, authority figures, or romantically attractive. Even in casual interactions, women report feeling more drawn to men who speak with calm confidence rather than anxious haste. These preferences are consistent across cultures, highlighting the universal influence of evolutionary psychology on vocal perception. Understanding these instincts empowers both men and women. Men can become aware of how their voice naturally influences perception, while women can recognize the subconscious triggers affecting their responses. Awareness transforms these evolutionary patterns from unconscious reactions into conscious understanding, allowing for healthier and more intentional interactions. The human voice is a powerful psychological trigger. Women do not simply hear words, they feel the emotional signals carried by tone, pitch, and rhythm. When a man speaks with a deep, steady, resonant voice, it can create a sense of calm, security, and even fascination. These responses occur because the brain links vocal patterns to emotional and physiological states. Certain tones can activate reward centers in the brain, releasing chemicals that make interactions feel pleasurable and memorable. Emotional attachment begins subtly, often without conscious awareness. A steady voice communicates control over internal emotions, signaling reliability and safety. Conversely, a high-pitched or wavering tone can activate stress responses, even if the content of the speech is positive. Women are highly sensitive to these auditory cues because they act as unconscious markers of stability, trustworthiness, and compatibility. The psychological impact is immediate, shaping perception before words are fully processed. Vocal traits can also trigger projection and imagination. A confident, resonant voice allows women to imagine competence, ambition, and even protective qualities. Their mind fills in narratives based on these cues, often attributing qualities to a man that are consistent with the signals his voice sends. This is why two men saying identical words can produce completely different impressions. One man becomes intriguing, the other forgettable, because emotional and psychological triggers are embedded in the way sound is delivered. Case studies reveal the depth of this effect. In social experiments, women consistently rate men with lower-pitched voices as more attractive, even when the men's appearance or social status is controlled. These findings demonstrate that attraction is not purely visual or intellectual, it is psychological, driven by subtle auditory cues that interact with deep-seated instincts. Emotional engagement begins in milliseconds, shaping how women respond to tone, pause, and rhythm long before conscious evaluation occurs. The psychological influence extends to trust and authority as well. A measured voice conveys competence and stability, fostering belief in a man's decisions or statements. Women are more likely to follow guidance, feel persuaded, or form a positive opinion when the vocal delivery is steady and confident. This reveals that attraction is intertwined with perception of character, reliability, and emotional consistency. Understanding these triggers provides actionable insight. Men can learn to use vocal control to communicate strength, composure, and emotional intelligence. Women can become aware of the subconscious impact of tone, helping them recognize when attraction is influenced by vocal cues rather than words or appearance. These insights illuminate the hidden psychological mechanisms that guide human interaction, showing that attraction, respect, and engagement are often communicated through sound before they are understood consciously. Real-life examples highlight how vocal traits influence attraction and perception. Consider two men entering a social gathering. Both are similarly dressed, equally articulate, and possess comparable knowledge or social status. One man speaks with a steady, resonant voice, pausing thoughtfully between sentences. The other speaks quickly, with a higher pitch, frequently rising at the end of statements. Observers, particularly women, instinctively rate the first man as more confident, reliable, and appealing. The difference is not what is said but how it is expressed. In romantic settings, the same principles apply. Dating studies have shown that men with lower-pitched, well-modulated voices are often perceived as more desirable. Women report feeling an unexplainable sense of comfort, intrigue, and attention when interacting with men whose voices project steadiness and control. Even subtle qualities, such as rhythm, tempo, and resonance, create impressions of emotional stability and intelligence. Over time, these impressions can contribute to deeper emotional attachment, even before significant personal knowledge or shared experiences exist. Professional environments provide additional insight. Leaders with strong, resonant voices often inspire trust and authority. Employees respond positively to measured vocal delivery, associating it with competence and decision-making ability. Women in these settings are naturally drawn to men whose voices project control and calm, reflecting broader evolutionary patterns. This is why vocal coaching or awareness of tone can enhance influence, communication effectiveness, and even social perception. Historical examples also illustrate the power of voice. Public figures, politicians, and leaders who commanded attention often relied on vocal qualities rather than appearance alone. Winston Churchill, for instance, was noted for his deliberate cadence and resonant tone, which conveyed authority and steadiness during moments of crisis. His voice created an impression of reliability and courage, influencing perceptions and emotional responses worldwide. This demonstrates that vocal traits operate as a silent force, shaping how others perceive, trust, and respond to men. Even in everyday interactions, small adjustments to vocal tone can dramatically alter perception. A calm, deep voice can reduce tension during disagreement, project competence in a new environment, or increase intrigue in casual conversation. Women often unconsciously pick up on these cues, responding emotionally to qualities that are transmitted through sound rather than content. This makes their voice an essential tool for influence, attraction, and connection. Awareness of these patterns allows men to refine how they speak, cultivating confidence, emotional steadiness, and subtle influence. Women, in turn, can recognize when attraction is shaped by unconscious auditory cues, gaining insight into the psychological mechanisms guiding their responses. Their voice, often overlooked, is a powerful instrument that communicates far more than words alone, affecting perception, trust, and emotional engagement in profound and immediate ways. Understanding the influence of vocal traits provides practical tools for improving communication and attraction. Men can learn to cultivate a voice that naturally conveys confidence, stability, and competence. Simple adjustments, such as slowing speech, lowering pitch, and controlling pauses, can create an impression of calm authority. These changes are not about manipulation, they are about aligning vocal expression with personal confidence and emotional regulation, which are traits women instinctively find attractive. Practice is essential. Recording one's own voice and listening critically helps identify areas where tone may unintentionally convey nervousness or uncertainty. Small improvements, like maintaining a steady pace or avoiding upward inflections at the end of sentences, can drastically shift how a woman perceives a man. Over time, these changes become natural, enhancing both personal interactions and broader social influence. Vocal awareness is equally important in emotional contexts. A man who maintains control over tone during difficult conversations signals reliability and composure. Women respond positively to these cues because they suggest emotional intelligence and resilience. These traits create an environment of trust, allowing for deeper connection and understanding. By consciously managing vocal delivery, men can influence perception while remaining authentic and emotionally grounded. Communication extends beyond voice alone. Word choice, body language, and context complement vocal signals, but their voice often serves as the first filter through which attraction and trust are evaluated. Understanding this hierarchy allows men to prioritize vocal control as a foundational element of social and romantic interaction. Women, meanwhile, can benefit from recognizing these cues in themselves, understanding when their attraction is influenced by instinctive auditory perception rather than conscious evaluation. Real-life application also involves observation. Listening to the voices of men who inspire respect or interest provides insight into patterns of pitch, rhythm, and modulation. Mimicking these qualities in a natural and authentic way can enhance influence and appeal. This is particularly valuable in dating, professional settings, and leadership roles, where perception of competence and emotional stability is critical. Ultimately, their voice is a bridge between intention and perception. It conveys hidden signals of emotional state, confidence, and resilience, often before words are fully understood. Women respond to these cues instinctively, forming judgments that influence attraction, trust, and engagement. By understanding and applying the principles of vocal influence, men can improve relationships, communication, and social perception. Women, in turn, gain awareness of the psychological triggers shaping their reactions, allowing for more intentional and informed interaction. Mastering vocal influence is not about deception, it is about alignment. When words, tone, and intention are synchronized, communication becomes more powerful, connections more meaningful, and attraction more naturally sustained. Their voice is not merely a tool for speaking, it is a conduit for emotional resonance, psychological impact, and relational influence, shaping human interaction in ways both subtle and profound.